Hey guys, the Super Review Show here for another episode of Why You Should Watch. This is the show where I break down shows or TV shows and movies that I think you guys should just check out no matter what, because the show or movie is just that good. And honestly, some of it might be considered underappreciated just by some standards today. But here we go. Today we're going to be talking, as the title of this video suggests, Everybody Loves Raymond. Now, for those of you who don't know, outside of being a huge fan of sci-fi and action adventure and stuff like that, and that's kind of like my wheelhouse when it comes to movies and TV shows for the most part, even superhero stuff for the most part. Everybody Loves Raymond was one of those sitcoms that hit me as when I was really young. Truthfully, I remember being on not when it was originally on, but I remember watching it on reruns because they made like 10 seasons out of it. For those of you who don't know, it's the comedy of Ray Romano. Ray Romano is one of my favorite comedians, maybe because I was that young watching him, but his style of comedy is genius. It's so funny, it's so hysterical, and the whole cast is perfect. Everyone from Patricia Heaton to Peter Boyle, the whole cast is incredibly funny. This show aired, I believe it was 1994 to, I believe it was 2003, if I'm not mistaken. It lasted a long time on TV. And I might be wrong about the years, forgive me everyone, but I do know it ran for at least a really long time on TV, when it was on TV. Now it's on TV Land every night, or every other night. They have like a 20-episode marathon of it on cable still. It's crazy. But it basically, what it's about the life of Ray Romano, and his life in Lynbrook, New York. And how he is, and all the mishaps. It's your typical sitcom. It's your typical type of comedy like that. But honestly, we talked about this show at one point on our underrated TV shows list, and I brought it up that I think the show is actually a little bit underappreciated and underrated. For some people, that might be like, well, what are you talking about? But because when people talk about the greatest shows, the all-time great sitcoms from the 80s and 90s, you obviously mention Cheers. You obviously mention Frasier. You obviously mention Seinfeld. You obviously mention Friends. This is kind of the bottom of the barrel, ladies and gentlemen, and it's kind of it does not deserve to be that. It is a really incredible comedy. Why I feel like it has a big following still. Don't get me wrong, but to me and my perception personally, I believe it's a little bit underappreciated as a show, because if you go on IMDb and you look up user ratings and stuff like that of certain shows, like Seinfeld, it's like at a 9 out of 10 for user ratings of like the quality of the show and whatnot based on the users. Frasier has like an 8.3, could be a little bit higher in my opinion, but that's me, but that fits that criteria. Cheers is like an 8.2 out of 10 when user ratings. Friends is at like an 8.8 out of that. But Everybody Loves Raymond is like a 7.8 out of 10. I'm surprised. And maybe there's someone out there online that can tell me more about why their perception of the show is a little bit lower than most other ones. I'm just curious to see what you guys have to say about this as well. So just leave a comment if you have any ideas of what I'm talking about, because I'd love to understand why that this is one of those shows that was highly critically acclaimed, highly hysterical, just all around a great show, and yet it got some less. It's not really put into the conversation of like the best shows of the 90s and 2000s as far as sitcoms go. It's kind of at the bottom of the list. I feel it should be a little bit higher personally, but that's just me. I'm a huge fan of this show, and every time I watch it, I still laugh. It doesn't matter what season it is. It doesn't matter what episode it is. I still watch it, and I still laugh. That's how good the writing is and the comedy is of that show. So I'm a huge fan of this show. Do I think it's a little bit underappreciated? Somewhat by today's standards. Do I think it's a little bit underrated? Yeah, I wouldn't say like massively. I'd say on the cusp of like underrated and accurately rated, truthfully. But I do believe it should be praised more for the comedic genius that was Ray Romano, truthfully. And I'm a big believer in this show. So for those reasons and more, that's why I think you should watch Everybody Loves Raymond. It's a great comedy, great show, great sitcom with really solid writing as well. If you're looking for a show, if you're a filmmaker or you want to pitch a TV show to like Netflix or whatever, right? You want to watch a really good sitcom? Check out Everybody Loves Raymond, and the writing and the dialogue and how it's like so smart. I mean, Peter Boyle, the dad, Peter Boyle's character, still is to this day hysterical. He passed away several years ago, of course, but it's so funny. I highly recommend you check this one out, truthfully. But for those reasons and more, that's why I think you should watch Everybody Loves Raymond. It's so stone cold classic, a little bit underappreciated in my opinion, but that's just me. But anyways, what do you have to say about this? Jump down in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on the show. And hit the bell, like, comment, subscribe, follow on our social medias, and many more. But for all of your why you should watch videos, keep it locked on the Super Review Show. The J-Man is Officer Rock. See you guys later.